Alright, new camera. It's the third time I try to make this video. It's also going to be a test, but I just want to make this video and try and I'm going to start carrying a notebook next to my bed, because I woke up with this exhilarating realization as I think society is waking up to a lot of the unhealthy messages. There's a lot of very unhealthy and counterproductive messages in society now. And I think the big one, again, this channel just might just become every topic is going to be about masculinity. But that word, to me, is the crux of the issue. We conflate masculinity with being toxic. We conflate all kinds of things. And I think society is waking up. I feel it. People are starting to understand that we cannot have a happy, cohesive society without competent men. And that is it. Every single issue boils down to, at the end of the day, to a man's inability or disillusions, or let's just say their inability to say no. Boundaries within a man's frame, a man knowing who he is, a man having confidence in who he is and what he believes in, knowing that it's virtuous and knowing that it is good innately, and dying on that hill, even when people will hate him, he will lose friends, he could lose his job, he could lose everything. Because at the end of the day, I've been thinking about this Peterson quote a lot lately. It's been going in and out of my mind. I will paraphrase it, but I think it's, if you live a pathological life, you pathologize your society. In other words, you live in the extremes of hedonism. And to the degree that we're all connected, which we are, and now with social media, that's even more the case. People see that, they want to emulate it. Enough people do that, and it's hell. And I've never seen a better example of hell in my lifetime, in almost 36 years, you don't count about being a baby in there, than the social circles I am involved in, and what I am seeing in my certain bubble. And I don't think it's that small of a bubble anymore. I think it's become, morality is not a thing. And if you throw your morals out the window, your life will become pathological. In other words, these boundaries that men need to have, because it's up to us. No matter who, no matter what you lose, no matter who hates you, I think the most courageous thing a man can do, let me back up. I think there's no excuse for a man. There's a little bit of understanding if you have a family and you have to provide, and to a certain degree you're going to, not even a certain degree, it makes sense to capitulate and not fully put yourself out there if you have people that are dependent on you. But if you are a single man in society, which is becoming more and more the case as relationships are dissolving, marriages are dissolving, the fabric of things that are innately good in us are dissolving. So you're single, you can flip anything in this world. You're single, involuntary, you You're single and you don't want to be. Guess what? You are now in a position of power. You're in a position of total freedom and choice. And you can choose to die on the hill of masculinity. The hill that will inevitably make your life better and have people respect you and make everyone, even the most feminist woman, will look at you and want you. I would argue that especially the most feminist women will want you and respect you and ultimately want to be with you. Two things can be both true at the same time. A woman can both hate you and love you at the same time. She can respect you and on paper hate you. You don't have to be loved and respected. That is the dance that is men and women. And I've never seen a better example of that than the most feminist woman being contained by a man, it's very interesting that often it's like a cry for help. That is, at the end of the day, the biggest difference between us is that I think a man can't be a victim. I think even if a woman destroys a man's life, does everything to hurt him, to physically, emotionally, any of that, that is the man's fault. You allowed that. All women do is test you. You cannot be a victim. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. I think that the fact that no matter what that's chivalry, that's courage, that's how would you treat your daughter? How would you want your daughter to be? The last thing you want as a man is your daughter to be with a guy who can't hold his shit together. We need to remember, as we stop being around kids, we stop seeing families, we stop this stuff. I don't see any of this anymore. It's a reminder. You know you want a man to be, you want your daughter to respect, you want to respect who your daughter is with. So why would you not want that same respect from your wife at all costs? At the end of the day, it is the only thing that matters. And taking total accountability for everything that happens to you as a man is empowerment. Even what happens to her, even the way she starts to treat you, you could very quickly start to conflate that with abuse. You did that. You set the boundary. This is what I will accept, and always have that in your mind, no matter what. At your weakest moment is the most important time to remember this fact. Because that's when the woman's going to test you the most. And that is the proof in the pudding. In other words, why a man can't be a victim. Once you play that card once, the woman will slowly devalue you to the extent that she may have a personality disorder. There can be less empathy, and it can become, at one side, it can be biological and just testing you and it being kind of natural. And at worst, it can be actual sadistic. And you better hope it's not the other end of the coin, because it can be a lot darker than just a normal feature in women. It can be, I would argue, evil. And but at the end of the day, that's going to be a test for you too. It's still the same thing. Just because something in a woman manifests differently, in other words, her poking you or her intent, doesn't mean that you can be a victim to it. So if a woman's doing that, you say no, and these are my boundaries. It usually helps to not pick that person in the first place, and that's where you get yourself kind of trapped. And if you're codependent, you might not even know it. You don't know what you don't know, and that makes it infinitely harder to leave. So as I start my tangential rantiness, I'm going to try and end this video here as I show up in the gym, but hopefully this wasn't too convoluted. I've never been more passionate about something as I am right now in the notion of masculinity being the cure to literally all of your problems. Complete and total responsibility. If you are in a relationship that is not enabling your masculinity, the sooner you leave that relationship, the better. Find your autonomy, rebuild, find out who you are again, and you'll be stronger than ever. You can always rebuild. The mind is an absolute sponge. You can turn those scars into lessons, invaluable lessons. And there's a big difference between sabotaging oneself, and understanding that, God damn, it feels good to be a warrior. Starting over, enduring, holding the line, and being a absolute beast. Anyway, we'll end it here. Thanks for tuning in, guys.